for more. Let's bring in Julia Steers in the capital, Nairobi. Julia, walk us through what exactly is the court's ruling?
So what's just happened here is the majority of the Supreme Court said they found the election and the irregularities constituted an unconstitutional election. They said that there were irregularities that affected the integrity of the polls. Now, this was a 4-2 decision. There were two justices who dissented the opinion, but still there is a 4-person majority, which means the recent presidential elections are null and void. The Kenyans are expected to go to the polls again in 60 days. Now, it's important to note that Kenyatta, the current president, was not found culpable for any of the hacking or irregularities, as they say, that were conducted throughout the election. The IEBC, that's the Electoral Commission here, was largely blamed in the short opinion delivered by the justices for these irregularities that took place. In the end, they issued a declaration saying the election was not constitutional. Again, like I said, we expect new polls to take place. Just in front of me, there are supporters of Raila Odinga, the opposition candidate who brought this case to court. They are jubilant and celebratory, and people here seem very excited to be going back to the polls.
Julia, how much of a surprise, then, is this ruling?
It's a big surprise here, as you can see from the reaction of Odinga supporters. Many people were expecting to come here and protest the decision. In 2013, a very similar case was brought to this court. Odinga brought a similar case. He was overturned at that time. He's sort of been laying the groundwork for saying that the court case was not carried out in a fair manner. So people here are quite surprised. This is obviously historic. It's never happened in Kenyan history before. So many people did not expect this ruling from the justices today. Now, it's not a full ruling. The ruling will stand, but they haven't delivered their full reasoning for it yet. So we expect to hear more exactly about those irregularities in the days to come.
And Julia, then I'm assuming rather, that we've not yet heard from President Kenyatta on this matter. Once again, though, you mentioned that as of now, at this stage, the ruling pointing to the Electoral Commission being blamed, not the president.
Correct, exactly. So Odinga brought charges to the court that both referred to President Kenyatta and his Jubilee Party about wrongs that he claims that they committed throughout the election. However, the court said pretty clearly that Kenyatta is not to blame for any of these so-called irregularities. They said that the responsibility really lays with the Independent Electoral Commission, which is a huge blow to them, obviously, and also to the international monitors, including John Kerry and the European Union, who really backed the Electoral Commission and their findings that this election was free and fair. So it's a huge decision for the Supreme Court to say that that, in fact, was not the case.
What about concerns of violence now at this stage?
In terms of violence, people were expecting violence could take place if Odinga lost today. He had urged his supporters to take civil action if indeed he did lose. So far, obviously, it's very early. This decision was just handed down. People are certainly out in the streets, but they are not violent. They are celebratory at this point. And Odinga supporters, who were the ones who would take max action, are showing no indications, of course, of protesting this decision.
Julia Steers, who is just reporting from Nairobi, this once again on these major developments out of Kenya.